Well, Justin, das ist eine... Is this good?
That's great.
Great.
Dan. The other guy. Brother of.
One other thing, maybe put the Perrier down.
Why?
He wants an endorsement. Or is that...
Is this bad? Or really? Okay. I had no
You're paying
idea.
the big bucks for
Have you
it.
got a very long straw? I can just... yeah. Perhaps not. That's
So
what you
just
need.
intro yourselves, band name, happy to be here.
My name's Justin Hawkins.
My name's Dan Hawkins.
Collectively, we are Half of the Darkness, and we are delighted to be here.
So, I guess let's begin by saying congratulations on Last of Our Kind.
Thanks.
Oh dear. The dialogue is scintillating, isn't it?
It's scintillating.
On stage, you guys seem a little more dynamic. And in fact, I read something you said, Justin, where you talked about, giving. I think it was related to those awards, the Classic Rock Awards, where you said,
Okay.
giving a speech or standing in front of people when you're not playing is something you don't really feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Interviews. Do you,
No, interviews is great. I actually enjoy interviews. They are awkward, but I think that's just the kind of awkwardness that you long for.
Dan, you produced this new record,
That's right, yeah.
and so what is presuming you don't have too many Roy Thomas Baker like ticks and weirdness. What was the sonic goal for this, and how do you see yourself as a producer? What kind of personality and are you a dictator? Or are you
I like to see myself somewhere in between George Martin and Phil Spector, really.
with a gun or without?
Definitely with a gun.
Philip Martin from Neighbours.
With a minigun. No, I think it's I come at it from a musician's angle always. Try not to waste too much time, because I think musicians get a bit jittery when things take too long. They just like to kind of capture the moment. So make it sound as big as you can and try and capture it as quickly as you can. Which is kind of the opposite of the way that Roy works, really. But yeah.
You have much better hair than Phil Spector as well.
Oh, thank you.
Much realer.
Well,
Well,
If-
give it a tug. Let's see.
Perhaps
what about
not.
the hair?
Oh,
So,
God.
but being in the band and producing the band, how can you have any objectivity, and how do you let your younger brother boss you around?
Well, as I've said in previous interviews, I think I had a slightly more supervisory role. So I'm kind of like an executive producer and mixer. But Dan would often call me and ask for advice on, he would say, I just can't get this track to pop. And of course, I have picked up a few tricks along the way. So for me, the idea is turn everything up as loudly as possible, put a very powerful compressor over it, and let nature take its course. And only the strong will survive. I think it's like if you mix a record in that style, it's you're pretty much creating the Big Bang, and all the chaos and the gases that emerge from it form life supporting entities and bodies, and it is pretty much you just put a compressor on it and creation. There you are.
So tell me, there's a word associated with your record which I didn't really know, or a phrase.
I think I know what the phrase is. Utterly brilliant. Truly astonishing. Beguiling. Wonderful. What was the phrase you were thinking?
Druidal magic.
Yeah, druidal. Is it druidicial? No, that's different, isn't it?
So tell me, all right, this arose from the place where you recorded, which was you went to an island and you invoked druids. I mean, does the location have an impact on the sound of the record?
It certainly does, but I don't think it's druidical I think that was artistic or poetic license that whoever it was. Oh yeah, it was me. Somebody took some liberties with the truth of the matter there. I mean, it's just a really nice remote island off Ireland in the Atlantic, and it's got a very unusual landscape and atmosphere. They actually shot some establishing scenes for the new Star Wars movie there, because they've got these weird islands that that are made out of slate, I think, coming out of the ocean. It looks really weird. Strange climate, so it's got like some quite tropical plants, howling winds and unpredictable weather. And it's very remote, and there's not many people living there. So it's kind of, you're able to focus and just enjoy the, feed off the atmosphere of that place. It's a brilliant place to write songs and hang out, and everybody, well, the few people that are on the island are really, really nice as well. It has a very strange history too, because it's a place when they first laid a transatlantic cable from, it actually came from that island to Newfoundland so they could send Morse code messages at the end of the 19th century.
I feel like that should be a song for you.
Transatlantic cable.
Laying
Laying a dirty length of transatlantic cable.
No, I mean there's a lot of sort of what's the right word, conquering sort of fun. Is there, like, you start out Barbarians, I believe, first track, yes. But first of all, whose voice is that, and is that, why is that the first song? That's kind of the theme of the record?
The voice at the beginning of the record and at the beginning of Barbarian is actually the voice of my gardener, Trevor, who has a very strong Norfolk accent. And being that the song is about the invasion of East Anglia, and including Norfolk, I thought it might be quite apt to get him on there.
Also, he's not just a gardener, he's really sort of quite heavily involved in the local amateur dramatic society. He's one of those guys.
Excellent. So tell me, I understand that the working title of the album was once Cliffhanger. Why that?
I think we just liked the sound of the word, and liked the idea of having me all greased up, hanging off the side of a cliff. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? I think it would probably shift a few records. Sorry, present company accepted. Who doesn't want to see that? But then when we finished the songs, it didn't sound like a cliffhanger. To me, a cliffhanger is what happens when you have 2 episodes of Diagnosis Murder that are connected, and something perilous happens to Dick Van Dyke at the end of the first one, and it wasn't really a perilous Dick Van Dyke record in the end. Anyway.
So you had a band member change. And you, for the first time ever, you have a woman in the band, or is this? Yeah.
It's the first time we've had a woman in the band, yeah.
And what does her energy, vibe, personality bring? Has it changed you guys in any way on stage?
Well, it was a bit awkward at first because, part of what I used to do with Ed was try and make him feel uncomfortable with some slightly sexual gestures in his direction, and I'm not. It's not that Ed's homophobic or anything like that, but it was just it made him a bit queasy.
Made him deeply uncomfortable when you thrust.
Well, I suppose it's you don't have to be homophobic to be a victim of sexual harassment in that way, and so that was a part of
what it was.
It was, yeah. And I concede that it was probably inappropriate at times, but now that there's a new member, it wouldn't matter if it was a man or a woman or anywhere in between the spectrum. But I think that there is a certain awkwardity when you've had that kind of sexual connection with somebody. But that dissipated after the first couple of shows, and now my frosting can go whichever way it likes.
Frosting has resumed.
Normal frosting service has been resumed.
Yet if you were to thrust towards your brother, then that would be incest weirdness.
Yeah, it's still sexual harassment, but it has the added sort of piquant of...
That's the norm where we come from anyway. So.
Yeah, we are from East Anglia.
Other people find it hard to deal with.
Normal, the expression "normal" for Norfolk springs to mind.
Excellent. We probably have that, like normal for Florida, probably similar.
It's something like that, yeah.
So, The Last of Our Kind. What is your kind?
Our kind is
Your kind as well.
Yeah, it's the kind of folk who are discerning enough to appreciate the finer qualities of actual proper rock music, not this rubbish that's on mainstream radio most of the time.
I like a lot of young rock bands who have a hard time getting on the radio in the US. Is that the same in the UK?
Yeah,
Worse.
it's exactly the same. I mean, yeah, perhaps it's worse.
Probably worse.
It really annoys me. It's actually a bone of contention that, I think it seems like the nature of radio has changed a little bit, so it's kind of, they're reluctant to put something that's guitar heavy on because it doesn't sound like the adverts, and the people who pay for the station or the advertisers they're more concerned about the jingles because I suppose that's where the money's coming from. And I think that when a jingle is pretty much a guy with a synthesizer, I suppose it's quite difficult to accommodate rock stuff, isn't it? I mean, I don't know why it's happening. It just is, and it's really sad, I think.
Well, to that end, why do you tour with a Lady Gaga versus an Iron Maiden, for instance?
I think there was a certain how can I put it? There was
I think it's good to move the genre into other directions. I mean, if you kind of just box off and only tour with bands that are like you and only play the rock festivals that perhaps you'd be well received at, like classic rock festivals, it's good to do other things. Because you can some of these kids might have not heard anything like this before, and that could only be a good thing. You have a captive audience, don't you? So it's spreading the word.
and also we weren't invited to go on the Iron Maiden tour.
They didn't want us.
I think you guys might have a battle over historical songs.
Yeah, we might have contrasting interpretations of historical events, really.
Run to the toilet.
Run for your life. So one thing I found interesting in reading the bio and listening to the record, it seems like it is made like a vinyl album with a side 1 and a side 2. Is that the case?
Yeah, we've always tried to do that. All of our albums are supposed to be, well, they're designed to be vinyl releases because, they're just better, aren't they? Vinyl releases are proper albums, and I don't think we've really fully embraced the digital age yet. I mean, computers are brilliant, for looking at porn and stuff like that, but sending emails whilst looking at porn. But I think that I've never tried that actually. But from what I can gather, aside from pornography, it's been brilliant for porn, but terrible for music.
And just sitting here looking at you, am I right in thinking you have Queen on your left hand?
Yeah, that's right. It's
Roger Taylor on your pinky.
no, on my pinky it's John Deacon.
Roger's under your ring.
Yeah, he's sort of wearing a silver headband. Freddie was the first to go on there, and obviously he had the middle finger. And the other guys happened about a month later when it was healed. It's actually the artwork from Hot Space. Yeah, Hot Space, which I think was Andy Warhol, actually, because Andy Warhol did that, and he did Billy Squier, Emotions in Motion, and some other lesser known sort of or lesser respected rock albums at that time. Had Andy Warhol artwork.
Looking at you here with the pink background, I'm also reminded of Billy Squier a little bit.
Yeah, what a great video that killed his career.
I could see you sort of doing something along those lines with your thrusting.
Totally, I always reference that video as something that we should be aiming for, because I think having a career in music is overrated. It's important to sort of go out in a blaze of pink.
Well, I mean, do you believe that? I believe in Thing Love. Is that your Freebird, your stairway to heaven, or do you hope to top that?
It was undoubtedly a fab moment and a brilliant hit, and we're very proud of that song. But
It's not an albatross?
No, not really, because once you've got a song like that, you don't need any more of them, And we did have a couple of sort of equally successful hits in the UK. One of them was a Christmas song, which was the first time we worked with Bob Ezrin. Actually, he produced that, and every year that's we find that that's a great moment. Christmas is a great time for us because we're,
Is there a chorus of school children on it? Right?
there is, yes, and that's actually one of the reasons why we wanted to use Bob, because schools out had
Let
some.
the record show.
Yes, and actually it was one of the reasons because we were aware of his ability to manipulate children in that way.
I'll tell him you said that. He'll be
Well,
thrilled.
there's got to be a nicer way of saying. I mean, at least I didn't say.
Anyway, you guys are one of my favorite bands. Thank you for being on Nights with Alice Cooper.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
Perfect. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thank you guys. That was fun.
You
Thank
did one of
you.
mine,
Thank you.
Go
And
bombshell
personally,
it
I
in
have
there.
to say, I'm a fan. I think the first show, I'm from LA. I saw you guys at the Roxy.
Did you now?
Yeah.
Well,
So
go.
was that 2004?
If it was the first
I
time,
think
it was
it was.
2002, and it was actually the second show we ever did in America.
Yes, it was awesome. And then weirdly, somehow I ended up at a party in a basement in New York.
Oh yeah.
You've been watching Nights with Alice Cooper behind the interview. Oh my, aren't you the lucky ones? Nights with Alice Cooper's Behind the Interview is brought to you in part by Napa Auto Parts. Get the job done with Napa Know-How.
The official Nights with Alice Cooper app is available now on iTunes and Google Play. Made especially for all of you minions.